David and Goliath, Tom and Jerry, blockbusters and Netflix. History is literally littered with thousands of underdog stories, and if you watch my channel enough, you'll know that there's one underdog that I'm a big fan of, and that is Ryet, who make my favourite bike saddle. Now initially I purchased this bike saddle because it was incredibly affordable. They range from anywhere from like $60 Canadian up to about $80 for the particular model that I have, depending on where you buy it. Having ridden about 1,000 kilometers on it, I made the bold statement that it is the most comfortable saddle that I have ever used. That is up until today, maybe. Because today I have something new to compare it with. A true Goliath in the bike saddle world. So, to really, quite literally put my money where my mouth is, I'm going to be putting the Ryet saddle up against this, which is the Fizik Vento Argo R1 saddle, which actually cost 5 times as much money as the Ryet. Will it be 5 times better? I doubt it. Will it be better? Probably, but we'll see. So my very simple plan today for this first ever test of the Fizik saddle, and for the comparison between the Fizik and the Ryet, I'm going to be riding on this trail for approximately 2 hours on the Ryet saddle. I'm then going to change saddles and ride back in this direction for approximately 2 hours. And I just want to get an initial impression of whether the Fizik really is worth all of the extra money. We'll see. Before we get to opinions, let's just deal in some facts. Now, the Ryet saddle is about 1/5 of the price of the Fizik saddle. The Ryet saddle is lighter. Having ridden on it for several thousand kilometers now, I have to say it is incredibly well made, and it also has a 3D printed upper surface. Now, also a fact, despite some possibly misleading advertising, the Ryet saddle does not employ adaptive technology. In other words, the cushioning in the saddle is pretty much even across the whole surface of the upper. Please remember, don't buy a saddle based on someone's recommendation online. If you want to get a saddle that's going to work for you, at least get your sit bones measured, or go for a professional bike fit. Buying something just because someone else likes it or they recommend it could lead to hundreds of kilometers of misery, and it may even be the thing that deters you from carrying on in this fantastic hobby. So what about the Fizik? Not having ridden on the saddle yet, what facts am I prepared to stand by? Well, it is unsurprisingly incredibly well made. It is also from an incredibly reputable and well-known company, which probably means that they can add a few dollars to the price. It's also definitely got adaptive technology. Right out of the box, you could feel where the saddle provided more cushioning, where it was a little firmer. And so it definitely has adaptive technology, which means I'm really actually looking forward to testing it out. First time I bought one of these on a ride. So there is a fairly sizable elephant in the room, and that is why, if the Ryet is as good as I say, did I spend quite a lot of money on the Fizik saddle? And really it's threefold. Firstly, if you're claiming that something is the best, or you're saying that it's good, you really need to put it up against the established leaders in that field. Just like an athlete, you're the best at your local races, you really need to take it to the next level. Secondly, I thought it may make a video that would interest you guys. And thirdly, and probably most significantly, since I've had the Ryet saddle, the maximum that I've ridden is about 4 or 5 hours, and I really want to take my rides a lot longer, into the 10, 11, 12 hour realm where I was a couple of years ago. But I found towards the end of a 5 hour ride, although I'm not in any physical discomfort from the saddle, I am beginning to feel some hot spots, and I am shuffling around on the saddle a bit, and I question how I would be at the 10-hour mark. And so I bought the Fizik in the hopes that it may be the saddle that takes me on to those much longer endeavours again. So some final thoughts, or I guess when it comes to the Fizik saddle, some initial thoughts. As I was riding along on the Ryet saddle, I started to philosophise, and of all things I was philosophising about saddles and the fact that really, in terms of physics and biomechanics, they should not be comfortable. There's no way that a saddle could be comfortable. It's a fairly narrow seat, it's relatively hard, in some cases a little softer than others, and it pushes up with great pressure, or you push down with great pressure, onto some of the most sensitive parts of your body, and so it shouldn't be comfortable. And I thought to myself about the Ryet, well, the Ryet is not an uncomfortable saddle, and that's actually a pretty good standard. As I changed over to the Fizik, I realised it had started to push into the realms of comfort. When I wasn't thinking directly about the seat, I didn't feel it at all. When I did start to think about it, I could realise that it did give a little extra cushioning and a little extra comfort to my sit bones, and I theorised that probably it would be good for 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe even 12 hours without a great deal of discomfort at all. And that for me would be an incredible goal. Is it better than the Ryet saddle? Yeah, it's definitely better than the Ryet saddle, by a little bit. Is it 5 times better? No, not at all. Is it worth the money? Well, if it were just a case of me going out and riding for 3-4 hours, then I would say, no, it's not worth the money. I would just stick with the Ryet saddle. If I plan to go on to those longer rides, I think that the Fizik will be the key to that. In the next couple of months, I'm going to put an awful lot more kilometres onto the Fizik, and in a couple of months' time, I'll come back and I'll review it again and let you know how it's been on those long extended rides. But for now, initially, I'm quite happy with it, and the sting of spending all of that money has been somewhat alleviated through this first ride. I really do hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've found it useful. If you have, please remember, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to see you on the next ride.